Well, welcome once again to this video podcast on YouTube on this beautiful Monday morning. Remember, if you want to download the whole podcast, just search Back of the Net Bournemouth on your podcast app. So, 3 points to Bournemouth at the weekend as we overcame Aston Villa 2-1 at Dean Court. With me is Jeff Hayward. Jeff, how are you?
I'm feeling fantastic.
Isn't it lovely to have a weekend full of smiles rather than the usual Sunday reaction that we've had recently, eh?
Yeah, totally. What a performance. The boys were amazing.
Really good. It feels like a weight off our shoulders. It's not quite over yet. There's still lots and lots to do. However, it's just the manner of the performance that is really exciting again. And once again, we can watch Bournemouth and look forward to games rather than think I'm going to have to watch this through the crevices in my hands.
Indeed, and there were so many things that were good about yesterday. I mean, it's been a funny week with the build up to the game, with the interview that Ryan Fraser did, and the late news that United were coming in for Josh King, and we all thought at one point when Eddie did that press conference in the morning that actually there was a chance that might happen. Thankfully, it didn't. But it was a bit of a weird build up to the game. And then you had, on the Villa side, they, of course, got through to the Carabao Cup final with a fantastic win themselves. So
yeah, that's right. I mean, what was your overall feeling after the transfer window? I suppose it was a relative success, given that we weren't expecting any incomings. To hear that Josh King was being teed up by Manchester United, then you're thinking, well, I mean, he's probably going to want to go back, isn't he? But apparently their offer was quite measly, 20 million, and we were never going to let him go for that, were we?
No, and the sign of desperation at United that they went in also for Rondon and eventually got Igalo, who both of those two playing in China. So it was all a bit kind of what are they doing? I don't think they'd really thought it through. They were panicking. I think the most important thing from our perspective, keep hold of Nathan Ake, and we did that. Now that means that when Chelsea want to come in and buy him, they're going to have to pay a premium price. They don't get first refusal, so that's great.
Yeah, no, that is really good. And for me, keeping hold of Josh King I think, is a relative success for our transfer window, really. I mean, yes, it sounds like he is one of the players that could be primed to leave the club at the end of the season, maybe along with people like Nathan Ake. However, to have him for these 13 games or whenever he comes back, I think is huge for us. And conversely, many people on Twitter are saying, well, he's not going to be up for it. I don't think that's the case. Josh King, I think, is going to be well up for it. And he doesn't usually put in a poor performance. And he's going to show that energy and fight that we need. And having him back, and then David Brooks potentially coming back at the end of February as well, it could be an exciting sort of 2 or 3 months for the Cherries.
Yeah, that's really encouraging. What was also good yesterday was that Stanislas was back on the bench. I know he breaks down every couple of games that he does play, but he I think will be important to bolster the team. I'm a little bit worried about our left back situation. We've seemed to have bought another very easily breakable player. However, Lloyd Kelly, when he does play eventually, well, he's going to have to fight to get his plays because Rico is having a blinding couple of matches, isn't he? So that's kind of okay at the moment.
Well, you have to hope that the left back, because Brad Smith's off somewhere, isn't he, or gone somewhere? So
yeah, he's gone, and I think Dobre got loaned out to Wigan, didn't he? Which will probably be good for him because he's got a lot of potential. So not a bad transfer window.
Yeah, I hope so. There were many people before this match, especially after the Arsenal one, where a number of players once again didn't really put in the performances, who were saying that players like Dobre and Sam Surridge should be starting. However, what we got was a formation that we've seen numerous times before. It was that sort of hybrid 4-5-1, 4-3-3. 4-3-3 when we're attacking, and 4-5-1 when we're trying to get men behind the ball to defend.
Yeah, which was a slight difference to the Brighton lineup, where we played two up top with Solanke and Wilson, and actually Solanke dropped to the bench. We kind of thought that, well, we knew that Villa would play with three centre halves, so kind of back five, and what I was worried about was that we wouldn't have enough going forward, because we played that formation against Burnley where they defended deeply and we didn't have a clue. However, totally different result this time. It actually felt like that was the right formation, and tactically Eddie got it spot on because the players performed for him.
One of the only surprises, I suppose, was Simon Francis's inclusion ahead of Steve Cook, who I would have thought would have just been a shoe-in for that position. But it's quite a good thing that Frano can come in and put in an assured performance, because it means Steve Cook's got to work harder to get his place back. And yeah, to his credit, I thought that Frano went well. So we had Adam Smith, Frano, Ake, Rico, and then across the middle, Gosling, Lerma and Billing, with Harry Wilson and Ryan Fraser out wide, and then Callum Wilson playing that solitary role up front. So it's a 4-5-1, and we're kicking towards the North Stand in the first half, which, you know, many of us who are, especially in the North Stand, don't particularly like, but we started quite well, didn't we?
We did. It was really interesting to see. From the moment we kicked off, how many teams play that sort of aimless long ball to the channel from the kickoff, and you know, you normally concede possession straight away. I mean, I don't know of any time that actually works in doing something. Yesterday, from the moment we did that, the ball came off the Villa player. Callum was pressurising him, I think, and we get a throw in deep in their half, and it set the tone. It was just from that moment on, they were really up for it. The players had a ton of energy. We pressed really well. We started very aggressively, and it was brilliant to see.
Do you think that I said this on the vlog actually that I put out on YouTube over the weekend? But do you think Ryan Fraser almost created a rod for his own back by coming out with that statement in the week? Because he basically, I mean, to use a Borisism, he made himself like an oven-ready scapegoat. Basically, whenever he doesn't perform, fans could easily get on his back quicker than they would anyone else based on what he said. However, he sort of maybe that's motivated him, because I thought he put in a really good shift, and he was the centre of most good things that happened in the first half, I thought.
He was great yesterday. Ryan Fraser is a young guy. We shouldn't forget that. Yeah. It's quite refreshing to have someone as honest talking to the fans, talking to the media. He's not media trained. I think he's a bit naive in the way his relationship is with his agent. I don't think he's that kind of sure of what he actually wants. And what I liked about the way he played yesterday was he played like he can play. He was really looking to take them on all the time. He was playing very intelligently, winning free kicks, getting the ball into the box dangerously, and doing the work at the back as well. He was chasing back, and he put in a real shift, which was fantastic. And maybe, we're all different. I think you're right. I think he's the sort of guy who needs to offload how he feels, put it out there, and then he feels better. That's just the way he is. It's not the way I do it, probably not the way you do it either, put it out so public, but that's the way he is. And the way that Eddie sort of put his arm around him at the end, it made you think, well, they've got a special relationship. They're a bit father-son, aren't they? Maybe, every family has a bust-up, don't they?
Yeah, and it wasn't Eddie that basically taught Ryan to cook or got someone in to prepare his meals and make sure he was eating right when it was a diet of pizzas and all sorts when he first joined the club. I mean, as far as I was concerned, as I said on Twitter, Fraser had three options really. He could. I mean, whether it was a pre-arranged interview with Radio Sonar, I don't know, but he could have just done the whole media gloss, media trained answers. He could have said nothing about it, or he could have agreed with what fans have thought all along, which is basically what he did. And I think he thought that latter technique was the best way to apologise, but really it wasn't. Top performances do that. I think there was a lot of outrage on Twitter because of it, but I think it was as misplaced as the statement itself, really. Yeah. It was quite funny because, us fans all thought it, but just the fact that he said it seemed to aggravate a lot of people. But like I said, he's basically motivated himself to put in some good performances now. I think there are reasons that he needs to put in a good performance. One, for his own career, for the best clubs to come in for him at the end of the season, but also based on what he said, he has to now because fans will be right on his back. But I thought he did really well, and there were a number of standout performers in that first half, many of which have been up for criticism recently, including a certain Phillip Billing.
Phillip Billing, I got it wrong. You are great. You are the world beater. Yeah, what was brilliant about Billing? I mean, we kind of take for granted that he's going to make those interceptions, win the headers at the first sort of at the near post. You know, he was even beating Tyrone Mings in the AS day, which was brilliant to see. But it was the way he played going forwards. That, I'm going to say it, was a complete midfielder performance. That's what you want. He picked up the ball early on and had a really decent effort that Pepperina saved. He played a reverse pass with his right foot without looking to send Harry Wilson through. I mean, it was instinctive. That's the sort of creativity we want. Somebody who can do that. And the number of times that he was the furthest forward midfield player and got in behind Villa was just brilliant. Just brilliant. What an engine yesterday.
It's almost like he's taken a leaf out of Dan Gosling's book by getting in those positions. I did some analysis on YouTube after Dan Gosling put in that worldy performance against Chelsea, and I said, you know, he's a great option because he's that box-to-box midfielder. And there were numerous times where he was the furthest attacking midfielder, and he was always in the box. Even there were times where he was in the box where when Josh King wasn't against Chelsea, and vice versa. It just seemed to be that he's getting in those positions now, and he was there at the right time to open up the scoring for AFC Bournemouth. But credit must also go to a certain Simon Francis, who's another maligned player who did well to keep it in and then get that cross in.
Yeah, another much maligned player. In fact, take it back just a little bit further to the actual free kick itself. So that's Ryan Fraser turning Tyrone Mings and getting tripped, getting Tyrone Mings booked. Result. The ball comes across. What a sweet delivery that was from Rico. Really dangerous cross that came in. Francis retrieves it, keeps the ball in play, and then again we've criticised Francis a lot for having the option to cross and not taking it. Well, they've obviously decided that they are going to cross the ball and the chances there. He crossed it. Gosling, sweet setup. Billing, can't miss. Brilliant.
It's 2 matches in a row that Simon Francis has now put the ball into the box. It's resulted in a goal. Obviously for Sam Surridge against Arsenal, and it just shows that pumping it in the box certainly. And Phillip Billing, really composed finish. He ran onto it with his left, tucked it nicely away, and it was nice to see him celebrate and have a smile on his face, because he often walks around the pitch like he doesn't really care and isn't emotionally invested in everything, but it's clear that he was, and he ran over to the main stand and the corner. He did a bit of a knee slide, and so good to see. And from then you just thought, oh my goodness, have we got our Bournemouth back? Yeah,
definitely felt that way. The teamwork and the camaraderie was really great to see. Everybody celebrated. It was just a brilliant goal. And I think there was a move just before that, which again was kind of real Bournemouth, where we passed the ball from our halfway line right through, and it was Harry Wilson pulled it back for Gosling, who should have scored. Hits it over the top.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Oh,
just before,
goodness.
But the interplay then between Smith, between Billing and Harry Wilson to Gosling, I mean, it was beautiful. That's how we can play. That's how we can play. And we know that if we can get our creative players in behind the opposition, we will cause problems. And we did. And I think with the team spirit, the surge, the atmosphere, I mean, just watching that game, you could see that I don't know what it, well, I do know what it was like because I read all the reviews, but the atmosphere, it was buzzing.
A lot of people have been saying it's the best atmosphere that's been at Dean Court for a while. I thought the atmosphere at the Brighton match was pretty decent. But it's just so frustrating seeing us now putting these performances, whereas we had the same personnel 3-4 games ago and we just didn't perform anything like it. I don't know what's happened, but something has, and it's a good thing that's happened, and it's just nice to see Bournemouth playing like we can. And now we're looking at the matches ahead thinking, well, we can win these matches rather than think, we can scrape a draw. Of course, we'll get on to talking about future games, of course. But yeah, really good. And how nice is it to see us follow up with another goal so quickly as well?
And brilliant play from Lerma to get the free kick. I mean, again, it was one of those. He went over quite easily, but we got the free kick. It was within Harry Wilson range, and I think we all thought this could be top corner. In fact, hits the ball, comes back to Ryan, who takes a shot. Pepe Reina, world-class goalkeeper. Ramsdale wouldn't have spilt that. He spills it, and Ake, great athleticism, anticipation to be there and stick it in the corner. Brilliant goal.
I swear in another life, Nathan Ake must have been a striker, because even on AFCB TV, he says it's just his natural instinct. As soon as he saw Fraser shaping to shoot, which is a hard thing to say, he stood in the same position. He didn't sort of move back, and he was anticipating some kind of rebound. He did that in our 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. When Junior Stanislas had a shot and we won 3-0, he waited and got a touch on it.
4-3.
Exactly, Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
And he seems to mop up, and he seems to have that natural instinct. And dare I say it, there are other players, strikers for Bournemouth, who may not have that natural instinct, but great for him to be there, right place, right time. I was right in front of that, because I just walked down, and I don't particularly like filming during matches, and I kind of have it sort of docked on my coat, so to speak, so I can actually enjoy it. And lo and behold, when I get it out, I see this free kick, and I just thought, oh, you know what, I'll just stand there. And lo and behold, what a piece of video that I managed to get. So it's on the vlog. If you go to AFCB podcast.com, you can see it on there on the YouTube section, or just go onto YouTube itself. But yeah, what a reaction. And once again, it was so nice to see the players jumping on top of each other, everyone smiling, team spirit. There were questions over team unity, but when you see celebrations like that, you can't question it, can you?
Not at all. That sense of togetherness was there yesterday in spades, and that's what we need for the next, to the end of the season. It's what we need. I think the signs were good against Brighton, certainly in that purple patch we had, but that yesterday was probably the most consistent performance from 0 to 90 that we've put in, since Chelsea. But playing a sort of our brand of football, that's probably the best performance since Everton or Saints. It's a long time ago since we were able to play like that for a 90-minute period.
And as Andy Jennings said, defensively, we've looked as decent as we have all season in that game. And ironically, it was probably our best performer this season that actually made a mistake for their consolation at 2-1. But obviously that was in the second half. Before that, certain Jefferson Lerma picked up his second yellow. Now, the first one was where Grealish was, going through on goal, and he just has that drop of the shoulder, and he went one way. He couldn't really move out the way. There was a bit of professionalism about it. The second one, though, again, I think it was on Grealish as well, wasn't it? I'm not sure about that.
Well, I think Grealish he's that sort of player. He's the most fouled in the Premier League. I read a stat that it's something like 111 fouls this season, isn't it?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
So he is that sort of player. He looks for free kicks and he's good at winning them. I thought the referee had a poor game yesterday. There were a number of challenges. I thought that if you compare it to the way Mings blocked Gosling in the first few minutes,
not a lot in it, and he didn't even give a penalty or a free kick. He would have had to give a penalty. Obviously, he's reluctant to do that, but it was a precisely similar decision. It looks to me like Grealish runs into Lerma more than Lerma sort of changes his position or anything. And he goes to ground as well, which actually in that position, you just bounce off someone. You don't go to ground. And that's I think, what was frustrating. Then the frustration is compounded by the fact that not only does the ref give the free kick, but books him for an obstruction. Yeah. Come on. It was really soft. And also, I don't know, but on just watching the highlights back I wasn't aware, I'm never aware of suspensions and how long people get, etc. But Chris Temple, after the first booking, said he's out for 2 matches now. And then he gets another yellow and then a red. And now he's only out for 1 match. Work that out. What's that?
So I think he's out for the next game against Sheffield United. Then he comes back. If he picks up a yellow against Burnley, then he gets suspended for 2.
Right.
because
So
he'll have reached 10 yellows. So
okay.
we're likely to miss him for 3 games between now and the end of the season. Well, we're going to miss him definitely for 1.
Yeah, let's hope that's not the case. But
Can you see him staying yellow card free from now to the end of the season?
no, quite possibly not. But I thought he was very solid yesterday, and him.
Yeah,
I think the mixture we had was actually very good between Gosling, Billing, and Lerma. We've criticised the same trio before for maybe not having that creativity and getting the ball out wide quickly like someone like Sermon could or Lewis Cook, but I thought they worked really well together, and we seem to have some natural width and some direct attacking play, and so good to see players flooding forward like they used to. I thought it was brilliant.
well, we typically we are very good at letting teams come onto us to the halfway line and then we press them. Yesterday, what was different was we were not letting them get out of their 18-yard box.
No.
We were really at them, and I think what that does is it pushes Adam Smith and Rico further forward, and it just automatically floods that sort of half of the attacking half with more players. So it's a sign of confidence. Can I also say that Villa were poor yesterday, much worse than I thought, and you can contrast the team that we had with one individual and 10 others that they had.
Yeah, I mean Grealish is for all his shithousery that he seems to do, he's a talented player, isn't he? And
he's a phenomenon. Yeah,
one that I would happily see in a red and black shirt, 100%.
Yeah.
And if they do go down, surely to God, he's going to get plucked out by someone in the Premier League, and he's shown he can do it at a very high level, and everything went through him. He's just got that swagger and that sort of know-how, very natural, intelligent footballer, and most good things went through him, and he managed to set up a couple of chances for, I think it was Nakamba, who blasted over a couple of times, but then he was instrumental in the goal that made it 2-1, where he was involved in the build-up play, and then there was a sort of half clearance, was it?
Yeah,
and Ramsdale paid for it.
Ricocheted off Simon Francis, goes up in the air. I think it was one of those, bit like for those of a certain vintage, Maradona against Shilton, the Hand of God goal.
Yeah, very true, very similar.
It was like that, and whereas but Samatta was a bit taller, so he didn't need to cheat, and Ramsdale didn't quite get there. And I thought his judgment. He had one in the after that, which where he punches the Villa player rather than actually connects with the ball. Just a couple of sort of flaky moments, which are rare for him. He's been on brilliant form, but he possibly will look at that and think, I shouldn't have come for that, so I was not going to get it.
And there was an opportunity as well. I can't remember if that was just before that, where he basically did the same thing, but virtuously the header went over the bar onto the top of the netting.
Yeah.
So he came a bit early for that as well. So one of the poorer performances, but still, you can't really blame him for having one blooper.
Well, I've got to say he did the one world-class save, which was the inside of his right calf, I think, deflected the ball
Grealish.
Out from Grealish, which was that was a 1-0 possibly. Anyway, it was in the first half, and he didn't know much about it, but that save was critical. The issue with Grealish, I think, is that Aston Villa players don't put in a shift because they think Grealish will do it all for us.
Yeah, quite possible.
And I think there's something as well in the way Grealish plays, that he takes some weird decisions where he shoots and you're thinking, why is he shooting from that angle and not passing? It's kind of like, because he feels that he's the sort of the Messi-like figure that they've got. I think he overdoes it, and they definitely overdid it yesterday. They didn't play as a team. They played as like one star man who he got them back in the game, but some curious decision making. Can I also call out Tyrone Mings, who played a brilliant pass to Ryan Fraser for our goal? Yeah. So that 2 assists from Mings yesterday for us. Yeah. I thought that thanks Tyrone.
I think he still hearts his
heart's
over
still,
there.
So,
he got the last touch for Harry Wilson's goal at Villa Park as well. So I think he loves us really. I think the feeling is fairly mutual, despite the fact that we were all saying you're just a shit Nathan Ake and all that kind of stuff. What a waste of money. He's done well for them, and it's obviously a good fit for him. So all the best to him. And I actually hope Villa stay up. But we will see. You look at them and think, have they got the quality? You sort of, at one stage, we were thinking, right, what are the three teams that are worse than us in the Premier League? And it was hard to see that ourselves, but I think Villa might be one of them. Norwich definitely are, despite the fact they beat us 1-0, and then it's one more club. Hopefully it's not us, but what a good time to come into some form, isn't it?
It's a brilliant time, and you should also look at West Ham. I think they should be really worried. They've got Liverpool and City away the next two games, and their run of fixtures for the next, I think it's the next 7 or 8. If they get one win out of their next 8, I'll be impressed, because it is really tough. And if you think that we can pick up a few points in our next few games, all it takes is to build a gap. And I think West Ham and Watford had a poor game against Everton. They were 2-0 up in that match and lost 3-2 yesterday. So it's all to play for at the bottom,
It's funny how the gauge, your gauge of a successful season can change match to match, because obviously, a couple of weeks ago we'd have been saying, staying up was now, that's obviously the main aim now. But you sort of look above us and you think, well, there are teams like Burnley that are only like 4 points ahead of us now. It seemed like they were miles away a couple of games ago. And you're kind of thinking, well, we could catch teams like that, and then we could start to look up. And yeah, we have got some really difficult matches ahead, but there are also some winnable ones as well. So you're feeling, to conclude, I don't think much happened else in the match. I'm just trying to see, not an awful lot, but after that, the elation of full time, and you're starting to be optimistic about things.
Yeah, really, really comfortable. I thought the one thing that we did do really well with 10 men, I thought we defended really well as a team. We were really dogged and threw our bodies on the line, which was brilliant to see. But also, we were a threat on the counter. And that last-minute chance, you might have been outside the stadium already, but there was Callum was played through a delicious ball.
There,
yeah, that delicious ball from Harry Wilson down the line, and then he crosses it for Ryan Fraser, and Weeman just needed to grow about 2 inches, and he just stuck that away, which I think that is how we can play. Again, it was like right to the 90th minute, we were still giving it a go, going for that third goal, and it was just brilliant. Great performance. The huddle afterwards, I thought, was again... apparently it was Fletch leading the motivational speech in there about that siege mentality is definitely there and working to our favour. We got 2 tough away games, so yeah, the only way is up, hopefully.
It's a nice challenge to overcome, because in the Premier League, if you're just swimming along nicely in sort of mid-table, there's nothing to really play for, but we've got something to play for, so it's kind of good. Because we miss that, really. I don't particularly want to be going through this every season. However, it's just nice that this is probably the first time since our first season in the Premier League where we've been in real trouble, and yet we seem to be putting in a shift. Now it's not over, and we know that some dire performances could come back, but I think it's going to give a lot of belief. To the squad there. And I was there for that Fraser chance. I saw the huddle. I arrived. It's funny. I was in row M. I was in a different seat in the North Stand, and I went to my seat at like 2:56, and some woman complained because she had to get up for me to go past. And then I went down for a beer at like 3:42, just before the Nathan Ake goal. She was like, "Oh yeah, last one in, first one out. Loyal supporter and all that." It's like, if only you knew.
Yeah, if only you knew, woman.
But
not a podcast listener then.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'm thick-skinned like that. But some of the YouTube comments I get, I have to be. I don't know if you've seen the Villa YouTube comments after our preview, mate. But we were getting pelters on YouTube for not doing our.
Why?
Well, apparently we needed to get our facts straight, according to some people. But
Actually, I think an apology is due to Villa fans, because I said 2-0 and you said 3-1, and we both got it wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the only apology you're getting, lads. But yeah, it was really good. And then I went down. I did stay to the final whistle, and then I legged it out to do the chats. And you know what? Just what was great about the chats is everyone that I spoke to had a smile on their face. The first person to come along was little Thomas, and he had his say, which is great. Pundit of the future. Nice to meet Zach as well, American Cherries, as well. And he lucky charm, and loads of people have said it to him. 4-0 over Chelsea, 3-1 against Brighton, and now this 2-1 over Villa. Someone needs to give him a work permit and have him over here permanently. They really do, but everyone has got a smile on their face, and it's going to be an uplifting week now, isn't it, Jeff?
I think so. We've got 26 points. I do think we need 40. I think that means 4 wins and 2 draws. Okay, look at the fixtures coming up. Sheffield United and Burnley. They have 2 draws. We could get there. 4 wins. I'm looking at the fixtures thinking, right.
Champions League.
Well, no, I think we can beat Palace. I think we can beat Newcastle. I think we can beat Southampton, but they'll probably get upset if they hear this. And I think possibly, one of Chelsea or Spurs at home are beatable as well. So there are games there that we can get points from. Just got to put the performance in and get those points on the board, boys.
Yeah. Before we sign off talking about this match, can I trouble you for a man of the match after yesterday? There's a lot of people that could be up for this, but I want to see what you say. Yeah, I didn't actually hear the sponsors man of the match yesterday, or did I? No, I don't think I did. So not too sure who that was. But who was yours?
Well, a few weeks ago, he got it undeservedly against Arsenal just because he scored 2 goals. Yesterday, I thought, as I said earlier, it was a total midfield domination performance from Phillip. Yeah. More of the same, please.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Jeff, once again, thank you so much for your input.
Cheers for having me, Sam.
And yeah, what do you think about that? You can leave your player ratings in the comments below if you'd like, and also just tell me how you're feeling and how your week changes as a result. Thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video. Up the Cherries.
Up Cherries.